Good morning. It is New Year's Eve, Wednesday, December 31st. It's about 11:30 a.m. here in Paris, about 5 o'clock, 5:30 a.m. for my friends on the East Coast. I got a little bit of hotel paper and decided to do this is one of my favorite podcasts to do, what to leave in the year. So what to leave in 2014. And I did this really long list last year. If you get a chance to scroll back on my podcast, I just looked at it this morning. It's really good. I really like it. There's some finance stuff in there. Short podcast, only 10 minutes, but I think I went over 10 points. So I'm going to go a little bit shorter this time. I've got 6 things that I want us to leave in 2014, but I'm going to go a bit in depth. Um, First thing I want us to leave in 2014 is perfectionism. I have always felt that perfectionism is fear-based, It's based in wanting to achieve something completely unattainable. And so I think that so often so many people we get so comfortable saying that, well, I'm a perfectionist, and it's like there's a difference between perfectionism and perhaps excellence. It's like wanting to do a really great job. There's nothing wrong with that. And I wrote down this quote. I think it's an Aristotle quote. Oh my God, where are my notes? Here we go. Sorry. I had to move my computer. I wrote down this quote, and it says, "Excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution." And as long as you have those three things, high intention, sincere effort, intelligent execution, um, all of the things that you do will be great. Now, will all of these things be successful? Will they get you to your end goal? That may not be the case, but that doesn't mean that they're not good or that they're not great, or, you can't learn from some of those things. And so that's why I really want us to kind of maybe kill that for 2015 and just continue to do more. You'll spend so much time getting hung up on trying to have something be perfect that nothing is actually happening. It's like it's better to put out maybe five good things than one thing that you think is perfect, because we all know that nothing is exactly perfect. Number two, I want you to get rid of your fake friends. Let's leave your fake friends in 2014. What does that mean? I've always believed that you are the sum of your experiences and really the number of people or the kind of people that you choose to surround yourself with. I know you've heard it time and time again that iron sharpens iron. And having good friends is probably one of the best decisions I've ever made for my life, because it's like your good friends are going to hold you accountable. And when things are not a goal for you, they're going to help you stay on track. I have a friend, earlier this year, I was with my mom in San Diego, and I was like seeing all these families, and my mom was like bringing this up to me about family. When are you going to start a family? Why don't you have, I want you to have the same thing I have. You should have kids. And, I called up one of my best friends at the end of the trip, and I was really down on myself. I mean, I literally was a little misty eyed about the fact that I didn't, have this family. Like, why don't I have this? And so my friend's like, Myleik, I've been your friend for about a decade, and I can honestly say that every year that we've spoken, and this is a friend who's married, um, like you've never had this on your goal list. You've never had family on your goals. If this is something that you want to do, put this on, your goals, and then you start to work towards that. And so I was like, that's so true. Like, why am I beating myself up over something I haven't even tried to do? And so that is something that having a good friend will do, is kind of, give you some perspective on things. Good friends are also healthy competition. If you have friends that have high incomes or have become successful, they will encourage you to do the same. The same friend that I'm talking about is my friend of 10 years, is my friend that I watched, was one of my first friends that I watched make $1 million with a side hustle, and I remember going like, this is my friend, and if my friend can do this, why can't I do this? And honestly, just being around him, gave me the courage and maybe deepened my desire for more. I don't know that I would have wanted to try to achieve more if I had not seen someone else do it, someone so close to me doing that. And so, healthy competition in business, we definitely have competed, and our friends, good friends are going to help you to discover new things, which is so important for you in 2015. And so, if there are people around you that are not encouraging you, that are not inspiring you, that are bringing you down and, keeping you static, it's time to just leave those people behind. And maybe it's just not about cutting them out completely, but just limiting the amount of time that we spend with those kinds of people. It's like deciding who's going to be high on your priority list of friends is something that you definitely want to make sure you're going into the new year with. Number three is procrastination. Procrastination is just a habit, and it becomes a very bad habit because what happens is that you push back the time of doing something. It's still the same amount of work. It's still the task. It's still the same thing. But the more you put it off, and the more you're able to get it done later and later and later, you keep doing it. And so sometimes the job might be just a half-ass job, but it's still done to you, and you've procrastinated and you didn't do your best work. And so we can always go back to the quote that I love: excellence is never an accident. It is the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. That cannot be accomplished when you're procrastinating. And self sabotage is essentially what you're doing, leads to regret, and regret, leads to depression. And so, something that I always say that you can help is to chop things into smaller pieces. So take smaller bites. If you feel like what you're doing, if the task seems so huge, do something smaller. Take on some smaller bits and pieces and try to accomplish something every day, or a couple things every day. And I don't know if you realize the way the world is set up. There are so many benefits of doing things early, early bird specials. If you pay, your car insurance up front or in advance, you get a discount. Um, I pay everything usually early or on time. That's just my way. I don't know that I was always that way, but I've developed that habit of just knocking things out. And I've saved a lot of money in the long run by doing that. So I'm telling you, there's so many benefits. You kind of get it out of the way. Like, I like to pay all my bills. Like, I never wait. I want to pay them all at once so that I can see how much money I really have to play with. So I don't wait until, it's like bill due by January 16th. I'll just pay it as soon as I get it, because that way, I'm in the free and clear, and I'm able to better budget based on what I know I have. Number four is not focusing on the positives. And I'm saying that instead of being negative, because a lot of people don't realize they're being negative. They think they're positive. A lot of times I always say this, that some of the like most negative quotes and stuff, or comments I'll get from people, I go click on their profile, and the profile is always like positivity, God first, this kinds of thing. And I'm just like, maybe you don't know you're being negative, so maybe if I just call it not focusing on the positives. And it's like, are you the kind of person that only has something to say when it's negative? That part, that just so bizarre to me, that you will have been online all this time, and the only time you will ever feel so compelled to speak is when it's to say something negative. And if that is the case, to criticize versus logging in and to give people encouragement, to tell them they look great, to tell them that you love something, that it's addictive and it's just good for you. I always like to think of things as like a boomerang. What I do and say about others is what I do and say about myself. So if I'm constantly putting out positivity to others, I'm doing that same thing to myself. Same thing goes for the negative. Whatever I'm putting out, constantly criticizing, whatever I'm doing to others, I'm doing to myself. So, not focusing on the positives also doesn't allow you to see things as a learning experience. Just because something happened that didn't have a positive outcome does not mean that it wasn't a great learning experience. Same thing goes for relationships that end. It doesn't mean that wasn't one of the greatest learning experiences. I've had some relationships that have ended that have also proved to be fantastic experiences in learning about myself. And sometimes you can't learn certain things about yourself unless some things fall apart. So I always encourage people to say, what do I love about this? It's like, okay, we know that it wasn't your favorite. Maybe this wasn't my favorite book, but I did love this or that quote or something. What did I love about this, and what did I learn from this? Is always a cool way to look at things. Number five is insecurity, and this is one of those super long and deep ones. I can probably do 100 podcasts on insecurity. Um, and even if you can't leave this in 2014, at least do me a favor and promise me that you learn to manage your own insecurities. We all have them. They stem from maybe the way we were parented. They stem from, guilt that may have come about for whatever reason. Maybe being in the shadow of an older sibling or a family member that maybe was doing better, or they were doing something that you weren't doing. And so we become insecure, bullying. And um, the way we're going to learn to manage our own insecurities, I'm going to talk about that, but also learning to spot insecurities in others. And the more aware that you become of your own insecurities, is the better chance you'll be better able to realize what other people are maybe trying to do to you. And so I've learned that over the years, is that you know people will tell me that they're intimidated by me after the fact of something, but they maybe are intimidated because in their minds I've achieved more or accomplished more. That's not my fault. And I can't be responsible for other people's insecurities. And so I'm always aware of spotting insecurities in others. And the way I've decided to work on my own is in therapy. If it's something you feel like you can't do alone, you have somebody that can help you deal with some things. And, if you can't maybe do that right away, journal your thoughts. Journal your thoughts. And then my favorite thing to do is the is this true challenge? You know, ever say something about yourself, about the way you look, about the kind of job you did on something. And it's like, oh, I didn't do a good job on that. Oh, I look bad. And it's like, is that really true? Can you really prove that to be true? It's rare that you can. And so, whenever you find yourself, doing something or saying something, and I would be that way about certain people. Like if somebody didn't call me back, I'm like, oh, they're avoiding my phone call. I'm like, can I prove that? Not really. So I can't prove it, and so that really helped me to kind of get my crap in check. And so I encourage you to do the same. My sixth one and final one today is only sticking with what you already know. Growth is uncomfortable. Okay, so there's three zones: comfort zone, growth zone, panic zone. And a comfort zone, the way the mind typically thinks is that you go from the comfort zone to the panic zone, but that's not true. That little gap between those two zones is your growth zone. And you're going to challenge yourself to go there and to do some things, get out of your comfort zone, and don't be afraid, don't panic, because everything that comes after that is going to be growth. And the thing about growing is as you grow, your comfort zone grows. So, you want to always make sure that you're challenging yourself. And I'm guilty of this as well, as that constantly pushing myself to grow. But as I grow, I've become more and more comfortable. I've just have a bigger, much larger comfort zone, so I feel like I don't have to move out of it as much. But I am pushing myself out of my comfort zone by, multiple income streams are important to me. I've always felt that you should have a few different ways that you're making money. And you should also have some hobbies. I really have to dial into more hobbies this year. So I'm going to be pushing myself out of my comfort zone, and always reminded there's no need to panic. All that good stuff in between that zone is growth. So cheers to a fantastic new year. It's the New Year Eve for you guys. I hope that you do something fun, reflective, beautiful. I have some really awesome things in store for 2015, professionally, personally. So, continue to look out for these podcasts. I have some fun things that I'm working on for you. I just got to literally push myself to do those things as well. It's been a grand year. I mean, I can't even explain how amazing and awesome it has been. And so I look forward to continuing to talk to you. You always know where to find me. I'm on the Ask FM. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I love to answer all your questions. That is all that I have for you today. See you in January 2015. Bye, guys.